This is your election headquarters. We are live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 144, and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The widow of the late Infantaman MP has filed her nomination at the EC office to contest for the parliamentary seat in the area. She was seen on the streets with supporters wearing her black attire clad in the party's flag. My colleague Richard Kojonyako joins us with details. Hello, Richard. Quite a very solemn moment. Give us more details of that procession and the filing.
It was a very solemn moment as the replacement for the late MP walked from the party office. We walked for about 3 kilometers from the party constituency office to the electoral commission's office at Sopon, and that is where it is based. In fact, they were all clad in black and red, signifying that they are still mourning. But MPP paraphernalia, was put around the neck of the Ophelia Hayford, the one who is standing in the stead of the husband. In fact, the filing processes have just been done, and the people are now departing from wherever they came from. And so it was really a solemn moment. The woman has spoken for the first time ever since the husband, died, and she was grateful to express some optimism that because of the support that she's witnessed today, and then the support that has been given her since their husband's demise, it will spur her on to win those very seats in memory of the husband. I've got the regional secretary of the party who was part of the leaders of this morning's procession, Richard Techmesa, to tell us more about the processes. So what really motivated you to walk for 3 kilometers from the office to the EC office? What was it for?
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, we've lost our sitting member of parliament in a very bizarre situation. And the party at the national level, in consultation with the regional party, the consensus party, and sensing the general feeling on the ground, settled on the wife of the late MP to replace him as our parliamentary candidate. So today is the day that she was presenting her nomination forms to the EC. And as you know, so we have our consensus party office to see or recognize the one who is replacing Honorable Poku as our candidate. But because of the circumstance which we found ourselves in, as you rightly said, it was a solemn moment. In black and red, second by that, as you rightly said, with the kind of work that the late MP did, it was obvious that the group of this constituency were going to retain him as the MP. So, what is that kind of work that the late MP did, that the constituents were satisfied that they were going to retain him. And the wife was strong.
In my final question to you, so do you think that considering her state now, she's mourning the husband, she has that capacity to retain the seat for the New Patriotic Party?
No, she's mourning, as you said, but we are going to find a way to do the work campaign, because already the husband did the work. The husband had really performed to the admiration of all the constituents. So it is on that we are going to leverage on and push her. But she is mourning her, but we are going to go to the various communities, the literate areas, then saw them campaign as to why they have to support this report.
Hello, Richard.
To continue the good works of standing in for the people. And that's exactly what the late MP did. And we've seen that. We see a compensable through Mrs. Ophelia Hayford. So whatever a compensable that the wife cannot be left out. So she's been a strong pillar behind the husband. Indeed, we have made the right choice and we are going to work. It's not only she alone who is going to campaign. We are all the party people, the police station officers are all going to come on board and work assiduously for us to retain this seat.
Okay, so thank you very much. So you had the regional secretary of the New Patriotic Party, the Central Region, Richard Techmesa, 3 more lights and on the process that went on today. and then what they are going to do going forward with this one.
Richard, quickly and briefly, we lost you at a point. What reasons did he give for the 3-mile walk to the EC's office?
Well, so they were craving for a general acceptance. They wanted people to have a feel of her, to see her. And so that 3-kilometer walk was to signify that indeed there is a replacement for the husband. And so for people to see that even though the husband is gone, the wife is being put in the husband's stead.
And do we have any updates on arrests before you go?
Well, so we've not had any updates on arrest. It still stands at the 5. The police are yet to update us on any further arrest.
Thank you very much. Richard Kojo-Nyarko is a Central Region correspondent, bringing us some updates. As you see in your shots, the widow of the late Infantiman MP has filed her nomination today. Really solemn and emotional moment there. But let's stay a while on election-related news. Some disqualified aspirants for the 2020 presidential race are accusing the Electoral Commission of unfair treatment, as some of them head to court to seek redress. At a press conference Monday, EC chairperson Jane Mensah explained their disqualification was based on a myriad of issues, including forgery of signatures, and she says there's no avenue for appeal. There's more in the following News Desk report.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, these are your presidential candidates for the 2020 presidential election.
Nana Akufo-Addo, New Patriotic Party NPP, John Mahama, National Democratic Congress NDC, Alfred Kwame Walker, Independent Candidate, Bridget Jogbenuku, Progressive People's Party PPP, Ekriadonko, Ghana Freedom Party GFP, Nana Konedu Ajiman Rawlings, National Democratic Party NDP, Hassan Ayariga, All People's Congress APC, Ivo Greenstreet, Convention People's Party CPP, Kofi Akpalu, Liberal Party Ghana LPG, David Apasera, People's National Convention PNC, Henry Herbert Latte, Great Consolidated Popular Party GCPP, Christian Kwabena Andrews, Ghana Union Movement GUM.
We wish all our qualifying candidates the best of luck in their bid to ascend the office of the presidency. We urge all of them to engage in a decent campaign, a campaign based on policies and programs that will lead to the betterment of our society. As referees, our role is to arrange and organize orderly, fair, transparent, and peaceful and credible elections. And we assure you that we are working hard to do just that.
However, this is the end of the road for independent candidates Kofi Kranting and Marie Kofi-Gan, as well as Akwesi Adeyodike of the United Progressive Party UPP, Kwesi Busumburu of the People's Action Party PAP, and Ejenim Boateng, United Front Party UFP. But the EC says there will be no room for appeal. The Commission has since referred issues of forgery of signatures to the Criminal Investigations Department for further investigations. But all hope is not lost. Here is why.
To the aspiring presidential candidates who did not make this process, we wish you better luck next time. Your filing fees of 100,000 cedis will be refunded to you.
It remains to be seen the various actions to be taken by the Big Five, but at least they get to vote in the December polls. Just that it won't be for themselves.
Now, 3 of the disqualified aspirants this morning went to the EC headquarters to demand answers. My colleague Kwesi Parker-Wilson has been speaking with them.
First of all, we are here at the EC to understand what they mean by same pattern. Because, you know, that's a very general statement. So we've been here since 8 o'clock to try and gain some understanding of what the EC means by this sort of things. None has yet been provided. We've been asked to come back at 2 p.m. So that is the journey we are on now.
So
but having
any of the officials, any of the EC officials?
I met some of the EC officials. That's what I'm saying to you, that we've been asked to come back at 2 p.m. For something a bit more substantive. They haven't been able to provide anything substantive. But what I want to say, however, is that we are quite surprised at the way things have gone, largely because we filed within the nomination period. The EC didn't come back to us to tell us whether they had any problems with our nominations, and we want to ask why. There was another week between that and when the EC came out with its final decisions. We are aware that some aspirants were called and told what the problems were with their forms.
This is a minor problem.
Yours was a fraudulent case. No, but in the case of some where they are calling fraudulent, where, for example, a candidate had gotten, endorses from 2 other parties. You know, we are aware that the EC also called that candidate and had an engagement with that candidate. So why we were never called to have such engagements is beyond us, and that is a question we should all be asking.
And so what's your suspicion, sir?
I have no suspicions. We are following due process. Ours is to engage the EC and find out for ourselves what the real issues are, because we deserve that at least.
And for you, time is running.
Time is running, which is why, you know, like I said, we've been here. We woke up right in the morning. We were here. Here the EC opens at 8, so we were here right on time. We've had 2 engagements this morning, and like I said to you earlier, we are being told to return back at 2 p.m. To have something more substantive. So we will be here. You know, there are several options open to us, and we will be looking to explore every one of them.
And by going to court to be one of the options?
Every options available to us will be explored.
So, I mean, if EC remains resolute in the decision, how's it going to affect your campaign?
Well, we can't make that judgment now because EC hasn't made any, you know, substantive engagement with us yet. Until that happens, you know, that is a suspicion at this stage, and we wouldn't go as far as that. We're hopeful that this would.
I am a threat to the president, so the president is trying any means for me not to file, for me not to contest.
No, those are serious allegations.
I'm telling you, it's because of
you don't even have the numbers. No. Your party is
that is your opinion. Let me be on the ballot and you will see who I will be, who I am. The real me will be on the ballot when I contest. I will win a Kufuor hands down. I am telling you this because, you know, it's because of me that he let the EC raise the 50,000 to 100,000, that is 1 billion, and I was able to pay it. This morning I'm here and they are telling me about the people. They are my constituency executives. I have contacted them. They are denying what the EC is saying. So I'm taking the EC to court.
You are taking the EC to court?
Straight away. Today you will hear from me. I'm taking the Electoral Commission to court. First of all, the Electoral Commission itself, the document, the register that they are using is what? It's not authentic. It's not certified. It's a provisional register, isn't it? I encountered one problem at the Upper Dintra West when one of my executives' voter ID number is having the Upper Dintra East document. We went to the EC office and they told me that it's because of that the register is a provisional one. So they did that correction.
So, but the EC clearly says that you were engaged in fraud. The 3 individuals who endorsed your forms deny that they have endorsed your candidate.
I just spoke with them.
So that is fraud.
No. It's the EC that doesn't know what they are doing. You know, they just have something to do in mind. They are being manipulated by the office of the NPP to the presidency.
Still on elections, Dean of Academic Affairs at the Ghana Armed Forces Command and Staff College, Dr. Vladimir Maintidanzo, has warned politicians against comments which he says can incite their supporters to pick up arms if results of elections don't go their way. Former President John Mahama has on a number of occasions cast doubt on the neutrality of the current EC chairperson, Jen Mensah. And in his latest comment, he said he did not have confidence in her.
Elections are about consensus. That we build a consensus and we move together. And that's why the IPAC is such a very important body. Today, the IPAC is like an enemy to the EC. The EC doesn't want the IPAC. They've gone to resurrect plenty dead parties and brought them to IPAC so that they can create a majority there and bulldoze their way through. Fine, bulldoze your way through. Don't build consensus. On the day if the thing backfires, it's going to backfire on you. And this is the first time I'm seeing huge numbers of names missing after we've done the registration. You can have somebody's name is missing here and there. Well, how can you have a situation where the first day you go 21,000 names are missing? then an MP's name is not there. Then the very next day, you secretly bring a new one and say, oh, his name was there, he didn't see it. I know they are new, so you might not be as competent, but you always have a back office and technical people who backstop you. And so you must rely on those people to show you what to do. But they have a mind of their own, those three commissioners. They're doing things the way they want, you know. And I hear that a lot of people who are very capable and technically competent, because they served under Charlotte Osei's administration, they've transferred them out to the district. And they don't have as much competence in the headquarters as they should have, especially with experienced hands. There are some new advisors on IT and all that kind of thing. And that's why, for the first time, I begin to doubt the competence of our commission. This has been a model commission to the whole of Africa. And I've always felt confident that we have a commission that on the day will rise up to the occasion. This time, I'm afraid I don't have that level of confidence.
In an interaction with journalists in Accra, Dr. Vladimir Maintidanzo, who is also an international relations expert, says such comments, as you heard Mr. Mahama make, can plunge the country into chaos.
Say somebody should withdraw a statement. I will only advise that all our utterances must cue in for consolidation of democracy. It doesn't make sense for me to say that withdraw your statement. He made a statement as part of his propaganda, as part of his listening. I'm saying that let such statements not denigrate the institution or the head of the institution. And as I've said, I strongly believe in me that President Mahama, ex-President Mahama, is making one of those things, propaganda and what do you call it, campaign. After all, our democracy is one of making sure that you get one person more, and everywhere. But to be honest, maybe my last comment is this, that let us watch out. From where I sit and the little research we've been doing, democracy is hiccuping very badly throughout the world. And we must guard our democracy very jealously. I hope you can headline this. It's hiccuping. Even in America, Trump appoints a postmaster general whom it was seen clearly he wanted to use that position to make problems for the opposition.
Chairperson of the Commission, John Mensah, has meanwhile dismissed allegations the EC is planning to rig the elections for a particular party.
To the aspiring presidential candidates who did not make this process, we wish you better luck next time. Your filing fees of 100,000 cedis will be refunded to you.
Away from election-related news, a 36-year-old man has been robbed and shot dead at Atonsu in Kumasi. Maxwell Aweto, a resident of Ahinsan Estate, is said to have made an unknown transaction at the Prudential Bank Atonsu branch. After his stop there, he decided to visit a friend at a house about 100 meters away. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has more in the following report.
Eyewitnesses said they spotted two men on a motorbike arriving at the house. One of the suspected robbers, sporting a black t-shirt with camouflage shorts, followed the deceased. Then a loud gunshot sound was heard.
We saw two men on a motorbike park and enter. Seconds later, we heard a gunshot. When they came out and I saw a gun hanging in a side coat, I told a friend they were criminals and the residents rushed after them, but they escaped.
When they
The suspected assailant jumped on the waiting motorbike with a brown envelope and the two sped off. Mr. Aweto was found in a pool of blood with a bullet wound on his neck. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deborah.
Meanwhile, the police in the Ashanti region say they've commenced investigations into the matter. Now, the Ghana Cocoa Board has commenced investigations into a JoyNews expose on the illegal renting of certification license by some licensed cocoa buying companies and farmer society groups to businessmen. It follows the revelation that one can rent a cocoa certificate for as high as 1 million cedis. These underhand dealings make the farmer poorer, defeating the purpose of the cocoa sustainability program. Let's bring you some excerpts of our Robin the Poor documentary produced by investigative journalist Kutinati.
To ascertain how deep this canker is in this industry, I request to meet another cocoa interest group willing to sell their certificate to me. Hope introduces me to officials of Farmer Base Association Cocopa, its executive director Fred Amponsa, and one Ibrahim. We then shift the conversation on the shady details of using their certificate to export cocoa to chocolate producers.
Apart from, I'm asking this question to be clear. Apart from we giving you the lances, what other role are we going to play?
Hope admits that this act is illegal, but for him, in business, interest matters more than standards.
Since he's paying for management of the certificate for you, I don't think it should be 50. It should have a little higher. That's why I was mentioning 40. 40% coming to the cocoa if it's your business.
Because
like he indicated. Because like he indicated, if we are taking care of the cost of management of the
group, and they are still buying.
Yeah, I think 40-60 should be fair.
It will cost the team 1 million Ghana cedis to own the certificate of the Cocoa Farmer Base Association. The executives presented us with these two certificates as proof of how serious they were in engaging the team. To industry players, this issue should be a matter of concern. Frank Jabba of Cocoa Merchant again.
If you are talking about certification, you cannot sublet your certification activities to other LBCs to do. If the auditors come, they make sure the LBC that is even into the program is audited, particularly if you are doing identity preserved sustainability project. So that shouldn't happen, and it's not possible to happen.
Selling the certificate is an affront to the integrity of the program. Country Director of UTZRA spells out what it could cost them if such evidence is presented.
No, because that name or that certificate or that registration is covering a certain farmers in a certain geographical location, right? So in this case, you can't transfer the certificate to another geographical location. That is not done.
If someone or a cooperative is flouting these rules, what sanctions does it attract?
I don't know whether in this case it is possible, but within the circumstance we had to abrogate or renounce the certificate if it comes to us.
The regulator, Cocoa Board, knows what this means to the industry. Head of Public Relations, Fifi Buafo, says bending the rules under the certification program shouldn't be condoned.
Bending of rules are not permitted. Rules ought to be respected. So if anyone at any point in time bends the rule, that is not what it's supposed to be.
Clearly, it's those who are to set standards for poor cocoa growers breaking the rules. But this breach of protocols meant to attract sanctions is rather making these crook officials better off, while farmers sink deep in poverty.
While speaking to JoyNews in an interview, Deputy Cocoa Board CEO in charge of operations, Dr. Emmanuel Poku, said a committee will be set up to establish the extent of the malpractice. He also added that licensed buying companies found culpable will not be allowed to ship certified cocoa to their financiers abroad.
We are shocked to hear this kind of treatment that some LBCs are given to farmers. I recall that not long ago this year, we have started sanitizing this whole system of sustainability cocoa and certification and traceable cocoa with the creation of foundation. That foundation is managed by Cocoa Board and the off-taker as well as the LBC. Okay, so that's the off-taker's rep here. The idea of the foundation is to make sure that all the premiums are paid into the foundation's account so that it will be paid, to be distributed to the beneficiaries properly. Now we have a group of farmers who are kind of resisting this foundation by depositing the premiums into the foundation account on the excuse that they are receiving the premiums directly. They've agreed with the off-taker to receive the premiums directly. So this development is just giving me a second thought about the whole thing. In the first place, the companies involved, we are going to stop any cocoa this year, starting this year, whether the cocoa was produced as certified or not. So long as the company has been identified as, involving in this kind of malpractice, we are going to stop all the cocoa from this company and their sponsors will be shipped as conventional, because we cannot guarantee the source or the status of this cocoa, whether they are actually certified or not. It has to be some kind of punitive action against some of these companies. If we find out that an LBC is involved in this, we will apply the rules. And I'm just going to put together a committee to look at this thing, which I'm so ashamed that some people would do this against the very farmers they claim they are supporting. I'm very disappointed, to be very, very honest with you.
Away from that issue, Parliament is sending a delegation to Brussels to investigate the issue surrounding the closure of Ghana's embassy at Belgium's account with the ING Bank. According to Chairman of Parliament's Committee on Foreign Affairs, a delegation made up of representation from both majority and minority sides have been dispatched to Belgium and they're expected to submit a report upon return. JoyNews' Cisco Quesanti is in Parliament and joins me with more. Hello, Kuku.
Hello, Bennett.
Yes, so how long, what is the duration given to this team to do their work?
So, Mr. Frank Amedompe was not categorical in terms of how many days this delegation that has traveled already to Brussels should submit a report. The days has not been given. But as we speak, the Honorable Committee Chair gave an indication that the delegation is already in Brussels conducting its investigation and very soon will return to submit a report. And so we do not have a number of specific days that this committee is supposed to submit a report, but we are expecting that will be very soon because of the electioneering campaign and other things. The Parliament Committee Chairman is saying that he's expecting that this committee is going to, this specific delegation, I beg your pardon, who has already traveled to Brussels will submit their report. All
right, Kweku. So there were issues surrounding why, and there were suspicions that this was because Ghana had been put on a blacklist of countries being monitored for money laundering. Did the chairman of the committee comment on this at all?
The chairman of the committee will not go specifically into that, but Ben, is like you said, our viewers may recall that some of these issues that came up involve whether or not this ban or this account closure has anything to do with the European Union and their money laundering issues that the country has been facing. So the committee chairman will not specifically say that, but the committee chairman, Mr. Frank Anodonpre, has been saying that Ghana's outlook out there is still very intact, and as it were, he does not think that it's related to some of these issues, but then he wants to keep some of these things on hold until this delegation that has already traveled to Brussels will return with this report before they can make any conclusion in terms of what exactly is the cause of some of these actions that the ING Bank has taken. Venice.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague, Cisco Quesanti, joining us from Parliament and giving us updates on what's happening. But coming up shortly in business, Darryl Kyle will be telling us about some measures the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has put in place in terms of the Continental Free Trade Agreement.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kyle. The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority has put in place all the necessary measures to ensure that the rules of origin criteria under the Continental Free Trade Agreement are strictly adhered to by all member countries. The division, together with its counterpart in the ECOWAS region, is expected to submit the tariff offer to the African Union before the end of the year. This will ensure that all countries abide by the law. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Assistant Commissioner in charge of AFTA, Fenchin Akoto, assured that Ghana is in the best position to implement all the customs rule under the agreement.
When these set rules are what we call in customs rules of origin, we have a set of rules that will govern the trading of these goods among African countries. It is only when you meet the requirements or the regulations of these set rules that we deem your goods to be originating, and they are the only goods that will benefit from this free trade agreement area. So as traders, people in trade, will have to be conversant with these set rules and regulation. Not only trade, but we in customs as well have to be very conversant with these rules that we have put in place for trading among ourselves in Africa.
Any special treatment to goods coming in from neighboring countries?
Yes, the benefit or the special dispensation there is that those goods have their import duty waived. You don't pay import duty on goods that qualify. Let's take note, not all goods, if they have qualified by the rules of origin that we have agreed among ourselves, then the import duties are waived on those imports.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government's project to ensure Ghanaians own their own homes will be piloted in 2 schemes. These are the Real Estate Investment Trust and the National Housing and Mortgage Fund. Government is targeting the development of about 2 million housing units. According to the Finance Minister, the schemes are intended to boost the housing market to make mortgages and rentals more affordable to all citizens.
Really, for us at the ministry, as the minister stated, there have been a lot of priorities that we've had to engage in over all of the other amenities that you all are used to. I think it's time for housing, and the issue that we determined was that the financing costs were too high. So how are you able to create a mortgage and give the type of subsidy to enable public or private sector people to now take that? So one of the transition issues is the rent to own, so that as you pay, gradually we turn it into a mortgage for you to be able to participate in that. So if you look at the district hospitals, for example, suddenly all of the country is going to have address it. It is quite clear and obvious to me that maybe attaching a housing project to each of those properties will create the type of beauty that the minister was talking about. So we are looking to examine that. And we tried a 204 home project this year, even in the COVID year, and we've been able to do that in 9 months, which we would to next week. So we really are kind of building up to say, well, you educate people, you feed people, people must have a home that they own, and stop all this sort of landlord bullying and 2 years of rent advance. But it will take long to do.
And finally, for this segment, the International Monetary Fund is forecasting the price of crude oil in the range of between $40 to $50 next year. This will mean the nation will lose some revenue from its oil forecast for the next year. The fund said the outlook for oil demand remains grim amid new waves of COVID-19 and uncertainty about the U.S. fiscal stimulus and the U.S. presidential election. More business at the top of the hour on the marketplace. Up next, stay tuned.